It used to be so much quicker. There we go. Hey, good afternoon. Today is March 18th. With me today is
Heather Cox. Oh, she went on mute.
And Stephanie Stevens. I was trying to be a good listener. Hey, everybody.
And David Perlman, Director for Education Solutions at Microsoft. So it's with a lot of pleasure. So I've worked with Rob and the team for a bunch of years. They are, as I said in the kind of the agenda that went out, one of our premier partners as it relates to project and all as well Power Automate. And so usually once a month or every 3 months, I'm like, I just have this question that I can't get an answer from. And I reach out to Projility sometimes as it relates to projects. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Rob, and take it away from there.
Cool. Thanks, Dave. Nice to see everybody. Can you all hear me okay? Is the volume all right?
We're good.
Awesome. So as Dave mentioned, we're a firm called Projility, and we specialize in implementing Microsoft Project. We've been doing this for 16 and a half years, everything from project on the desktop to project online, and now the new project, which is part of Office 365. So what we want to do for the next 20-25 minutes is give you an overview of what's new with project, how it's pairing up with Powerapps. And as we say, they're getting married. They're coming together into a new platform we wanted to introduce because we're getting a lot of questions from the community about what this is, how it works, what it does. So what we want to do is just kind of drive you through a little bit of an overview of how project and the Power Platform are now new besties. They're getting married and they're getting together, and over time you're going to see this getting closer and closer into this platform. We'll give you a demo of it so you can actually see some of the tools. We'll talk a little about licensing, because if you go to the public website of Microsoft, that doesn't align exactly with how the licensing happens in EDU. And then we'll talk a little bit about the architecture, how to get access to the service, because it's a little bit tricky, and then answer any questions. That sound like a good plan? All good? Cool. So, the overall vision, and the Microsoft project team sat down about 3.5-4 years ago and realized really how people work has really changed. And we don't have to give you the whole work management spiel, but the reality is around projects where you have your big honking projects and programs that really drive the business forward. And then you have the everyday projects that are managed by people that may not be professional project managers. And Microsoft looked at the market and realized there were tools out there, Asana, Basecamp, Smartsheet, projectmanagement.com, monday.com, that were filling that gap in the market between the professional project manager and people that just use basic task management tools. So what they did is they embarked on a mission to build a more modern version of project that really allows people to be a lot more flexible. While you can always go upstream with project, you would always have a tool kind of sits in the middle that provides that platform. So if we look at kind of where project is today and the project management tools Microsoft offers, there's really 3 tools in that space. Kind of if you look at the map on the left, you've got capabilities. What capabilities does a tool have? You have the role. What role does an individual play in the organization? And then on the other axis, you have the size and type of projects. For typical everyday task management or visual collaboration, where you've got typical information workers, kind of light projects, Planner is a great tool. But we find a lot of organizations kind of age out or they need more than what Planner offers, and that's where they tend to look at project. Before, the only product we had that was out there that supported this was Project Online, was either project on your desktop or a full enterprise project and portfolio management solution. And as you know, in the education space, a lot of the work is a lot more unstructured. You have structured projects in a PMO and a corporate IT group, but a lot of the work that happens in research and development or grants management is projects, but it's in a less structured way where you have people that aren't professional project managers. And that's where this Project for the Web solution, which is the new version of Project, is a fit. The other 2 solutions are still out there. You can always go upstream with Project Online or downstream with Planner, but Project for the Web is this visual, intuitive solution really designed for the occasional part-time or non-traditional project manager. And that's really what we wanted to focus on today. So, from a comparison perspective, if you think about Project for the Web on the left, which is the official name of the product, versus Project Online, on the left side, your target user is an occasional, accidental, or a business project manager that may not have a project manager in the title of their job. It is all built on the Office 365 and Power Platform. So it was a ground-up solution that started being built about 3.5 years ago and was released in the EDU tenants back in August of 2020. Functionality-wise, it's really based around building basic project schedules and visualizing those schedules. And if you want to extend that over time, that's where Powerapps comes into play, because all the data that's in Project for the Web and everything around it is in the Power Platform. It is fully integrated with Microsoft Teams. So there are 2 apps the product team has built. One is for project schedules and viewing schedules and updating them. And one is for what we call roadmaps, which aggregates data across multiple projects in one place. And at the bottom, the user interface is a pure web interface. So you don't need the Microsoft Project Desktop client to use this service. and all the data sits in the Dataverse, which is the back-end database for Dynamics, if you're familiar with that. You compare this over to Project Online, which is a more traditional enterprise project and portfolio management solution that has multiple roles. It's built on a SharePoint Online foundation. It provides more mature portfolio management, resource management, time tracking, scheduling, intake, and demand management. If you have those needs, Project Online is still out there. But for needs in that middle part of the market that was a gap, that's where Project for the Web is a good fit. And I'm going to show you in the demo, but Project for the Web, really think of it as a much lighter version of Project. It's a simplified, modern, web-based project management solution that allows you to go in and visually build different project schedules and then visualize those in Kanban boards, timelines, and access that data through Power BI. Then you can visualize all this in Teams, and then you can integrate it through the Powerapps and build Powerapps on top of it. You compare this to what's in Project Online, and that has portfolio management and demand management and resource management, all the things a formal PMO might need, but Project for the Web is that lighter touch project management solution. We wanted to introduce this because if you go to the Microsoft website, it's actually a little confusing. You see Project, and then you see different screenshots, and you don't know what's what. Think of it as two different solutions and two different services, Project for the Web and Project Desktop and Project Online, and those are separate. So what we want to do is actually show you the Project for the Web and the Powerapps so you can get a feel. Sometimes seeing is the best way to understand it. I'm just in Office 365. I come down to the green P. I click on that, and it brings me to this area called Project Home. Now, Project Home was designed by the product team specifically as a way to aggregate data across your projects in one place. And in the Project Home, you will see there are different types of projects here. If I come down to the bottom, I have a PWA project, which is a more traditional Project Online or Project Desktop schedule. And then I've got a project, which is Project for the Web. And I also have something called a roadmap. And roadmaps were introduced as a way to visualize information across Project for the Web, Project Online, as well as Azure DevOps. So if you have any projects you're working in Azure DevOps, roadmaps are a great way to aggregate all those in one place. A Project for the Web project, if I click on it, it's very quick, very easy, and very visual. I can come in here. I can add tasks simply by clicking Add Task. I can add a task number 9, task 10. I have to have little to no experience with project management tools to do this. I can go in and add information such as how long is it going to take, 4 hours, 3 weeks. You see it's very intuitive. It autofills for me. It creates dependencies before and after. So if I want to say this comes after 33, maybe this comes after 22, it makes it very easy for me to do this. And then I can go and I can assign people. It is not a resource planning or resource management tool like Microsoft Project and Project Online are. But if I wanted to assign people, Sarah and Tom, and then allow them to actually see those tasks, this is what it's all about. It's who is assigned to what work. And it all comes through this user interface. This is the core user interface of building a project. What's really nice is the ability to actually visualize this on a Kanban board. These are out-of-the-box views. So you can create what we call buckets, and then you can put those activities into different buckets simply by dragging and dropping them over. Buckets can be software, hardware, strategy. Buckets can be sprints if you're in more of an agile world. Buckets can be different kind of activities or follow-up, things for management review. You can drag and drop them around and also update the status of a task. Now I'm 75% done. You click on that, you'll see there's no save button. Everything automatically saves. It's a pure web-based solution. So if your organization had been looking at tools, like I mentioned, like Asana, Basecamp, Smartsheet, this could be a good replacement for those tools because it's really designed to address that part of the market. And then finally, you'll see here, there is the traditional Gantt chart where you can visualize the project, come in here, the different tasks, and now you can actually drag tasks out or make them shorter or longer, or create relationships between tasks simply by dragging and dropping them, and even updating the status of a task and saying it's 50% done, and you'll see that'll autofill in the bar. So think of this as Project Lite, a lot of people call it, but it's called Project for the Web, and it really allows you to very quickly and easily build and manage projects in a much more visual way. The second part of this is the roadmap feature. So this is where I can build visual roadmaps and insert tasks, milestones, and activities from multiple projects on the left in my roadmap. These projects can come from Project for the Web, Project Online, or Azure DevOps, so that you can provide visibility across the enterprise into different tasks and activities. You can add team members or group members and share these roadmaps and set these high-level milestones. So the request from Microsoft Projects team was, give me a better way to visualize this information. It's really what roadmaps are designed to do. Again, this comes with the new product. Okay. That's a little bit about roadmaps. So all of this data is there. Where's it all hiding? What's going on in the back end? So what's happening is this is all being stored in the backend database of Dataflex. So let me show you what that looks like. I go into the backend here. So now I'm in, hold on a second, just going to share this screen here. So now I'm in standard Office 365. I'm going to go down here to Powerapps. And now I'm in Powerapps, and this is where I can set up different environments. You can have a production environment, a dev environment, and test environment of your project environment now. I select that, and then I'm going to go to Apps. What you'll see is there's now an app, a Power App called Project, that gets automatically instantiated when I create that project for the web instance. When I click on that Power App, it's going to take me, in this case, to the sandbox. And there's actually an accelerator Microsoft has published out there that'll add certain fields of information. In this case, you'll see on the home page, it's got these pre-built tiles, and it looks a lot almost like a Dynamics user interface because it's all built on Power Apps. If I wanted to see all the projects I'm tracking in the system, they're all here. And then if I wanted to click into that IT application, the planning project I have, you'll see all the data, including the tasks in the schedule, is right here. So the use case here is I want to start with a basic project management solution, but over time, I want to grow that out. I want an app that I want to build apps on top of that to capture financials on projects, or risks on projects, or issues on projects. These may not be requirements now, but down the road, you may want to add additional data. You can do that through Power Apps, understanding it ties in nicely with your project schedule. And that's really how Project and Power Apps and the Power Platform are really coming together. The data store for Project for the Web is now Dataflex. Power Apps lives on top of that, and Power Apps can now point to, so you can create apps for project requests. You could create apps that aggregate programs. So you can see different programs you have across the enterprise. And then you might have a home page like this, so you can provide an additional level of detail on your projects. Once you have this information, now it's all available in Power BI for reporting. So if you wanted to roll out different kinds of reports, I'm going to just show you a couple of sample reports, templates here. Let's go to a template. Okay, an integrated report here. And then I'm going to be able to look at different dashboards. So I can roll up information that's in Project for the Web. And then those fields are all going to come over. So I can look at, show me all of a certain person's projects. How are they doing? What's the progress? And then you've got different reports in Power BI. You've got timeline reports that you can then sort and show me everything that's in progress versus what hasn't started yet. And then you'll see the different Gantt charts here, or the milestones on your projects. And then it does high-level resource management. It's not detailed resource planning like you'd see in Microsoft Project, but if you wanted to see, hey, what is Aaron working on? What projects is he assigned to? You'll be able to see those. And by the way, show me the tasks that have been completed or that haven't started yet that he's assigned to, or the ones that are in progress. Additionally, you can start looking at my work. So this is a place where you could go as a resource and say, well, I log in, I look at a report, show me all of my tasks, and I can see them all in one place, as well as data from Project for the Web. And again, this can be extended out to include all those other components that are in Power Apps, that are in your Dataverse. Issues, risks, deliverables, change, action items, meeting minutes, things like that. You can build a solution on the back. And it's really designed to be a great starter project management solution that over time, you can kind of morph into an enterprise solution if you want. This all comes together in our good friend Teams. So we can actually set up projects in Teams, and then we will have different tabs. We may have that work plan and the visual Kanban board in Teams, a native app. And this is all something you can update by dragging and dropping, just like we would in the client. We can view our roadmap in Teams. Think of Teams as a really nice hub over all of your project management information. It's going to bring it all together. So while the work is being done in Project for the Web and Power Apps and Power BI reporting, you could pull it all together. Every project has a document library with a series of document templates as a part of it. So you're pulling SharePoint online in this. And then any reports. This is going to pull all your data into one place. And Teams is the glue over all of this. And Project is a really good use case for this.
So Rob, not to interrupt you, but we're getting lots of good questions that I'm going to save towards the end here. But I can just say, wow, I have not it's been a while since you and I have been on the same demo together. I'm
Yep.
amazed at how much progress project on the web, the integration with Teams, and I love the Power Automate piece. I mean, this is
Yeah.
pretty slick stuff.
It's great. It's come a long way, and this is just the beginning. I mean, this is the platform of the future, and really growing from, if you need a basic project management solution, you want to build on top of it, this is the way to go. Again, that the Project Online solution is still out there for more complex needs and program management. That's not going away, but this gives you a really good option if you're looking across the university and across different EDU clients. You know, what do you need, and do you have some of these lighter touch project management needs that they want to grow over time? So.
Oh, wonderful. I don't want to stop you. Let's
Yeah.
take another 5 or so minutes because there's a lot of questions we have around what do I use and when and how are they licensed and some functionality. So keep going.
Yeah, and I'm just finishing up the demo, but one of the nice things is you can also integrate in tasks for Teams or Planner. A really good use case for this is you come out of a status meeting, you've got a bunch of activities that come out of that. Why not use Planner for that, right? You've got administrative tasks for the management team. Those aren't in your project schedule, but there's still things you got to do. Integrate it in because you already have Planner there and you have project there. And if you build this kind of structure, it makes it very easy for people to use it on a day-to-day basis. So, ideally, we just wanted to show you an example of how these tools can be working together, and there's some great options around it. I did want to show you a little bit about the licensing and the architecture, and then we can jump into the questions. So the architecture is such that you've got, project for the web down here. All of the data sits in the Dataflex or Dataverse, which is that database, and project for the web is that web client that you're using to update your information, also hitting it with Powerapps if you want. You've got the roadmap, the project home, Power BI, those things tap into it. We have a lot of organizations that also use Project Online. For more formal projects, you can again layer home, roadmap, and Power BI on top of that to have integrated reports and integrated visibility. So no longer are you stuck with one solution. You actually have an integrated project management solution that meets the needs of both kinds of organizations, lighter touch projects and more formal projects that have a methodology and rigor. And again, that data in Project Online is in a legacy SQL Server database that's in the cloud, but you've got Dataflex and Dataverse on the left side. The licensing, and this is always interesting. So project for the web, if you go to the website, it uses a license called Project Plan 1 right here on the left. The challenge is that's not currently available, or it's not on your price list potentially in EDU tenants. But the service is available, which makes this really, really confusing. So how you can get access to Project for the Web now is through a Plan 3 license. This is the license you would typically buy for project managers to use desktop project or project within Project Online. It also supports Project for the Web. So if you have people that already have a Plan 3 license and you enable the service, you'll also have access to Project for the Web. And that's until a Plan 1 license is made available in the EDU tenants. So there's just a little bit of a secret behind that. And that's how you can get the service, but you need the license. You won't see a Plan 1 in your price list. If you want to extend this out and use Powerapps, you will need either a Powerapps license. But to use that accelerator I showed you, you would need a Plan 3 license, which you already have. So that Plan 3 license is going to cover all the requirements you would have, whether you use Project for the Web on the front end or you use Powerapps or a combination of both. And then the last slide, and we'll jump into the demo, the questions, is we'll provide you with these links. If you want to turn the service on, there are a couple of steps you need to take to deploy this, to deploy the database on the back end and the service and turn it on. And then we'll also provide you a link with how you can turn on and off in your tenant, because that roadmap service is a part of this as well, and you can enable or disable it. You don't want people going in and suddenly starting projects when they don't know where their projects are stored. So we'd recommend a little bit of planning on this, a little bit of training. If you need any help with training or setting this up, definitely let us know. But we'll kind of provide you with these resources. So Dave, at this point, I guess we can stop and just answer some questions.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. I know we're gonna have a ton of questions. I'm not gonna be able to get to all of them, but we'll take some time and we'll keep recording here for a little bit. But if you can, Rob, two things before we get going. Can you copy and paste those two links into the chat there? Yep. So people aren't like me, us young but hard of hearing people and seeing and follically challenged. That way they'll have the links, because sure as heck I'll retype them wrong. So we're just going to start going down through some of these questions. So again, Rob, I learn something every time I listen to you, and this is kind of your world, right? So I really appreciate you guys coming on, sharing the knowledge. I seriously have spent the last couple of hours over the last week, which is a lot of time for me on any one subject. I hate to say it, trying to research some of the things that you've actually answered. So I'm going to take this recording and send it out to a bunch of internal Microsoft people. So the other thing that would be great is if you have it on a slide or you want to put it in the chat, and one of the office hours staff put it over into the other chat pane, your contact info as well.
Yep.
That way, if people, oh, there we go. Maybe copy and paste, whether it be Sarah or yourself. That way they'll have all of your contact info.
You got it. We'll do that right now.
Awesome.
Cool.
So I'm going to come down to some of these questions. Listen, if you don't have the answer, it's okay. But I know you know everything as it relates to this subject, right? So we'll take some turns. Stephanie or Heather, do you have the first question from Clayton? Is the first one that I saw? Clayton Christopher?
Yep. So I've got, they have Project Online Essentials for faculty. They got it a few years ago and now have A5 that has some project piece included in it. But one of their directors is trying to use project, still can't create a project. What do we actually need for someone to create a project that others can then view? So really about the visibility.
So you'd need that project for the web set up and licensed. And then the people that come in need a license to actually view it, if that's what they're going to be doing. So they would need that plan 1, or in your case, a plan 3 in the EDU tenants to do that. If they're using the service we showed today. If it's project, if you're using formal project on your desktop, you'd need a project online instance, but anybody with the Essentials license could come in and view those projects. You would already be licensed in project online for the view only. That wouldn't be a problem. So.
And this is out of order, but I think it tacks onto that question. There was another question around specifically giving project for the web only for some of your plan 3 users. Is that a possibility?
Yeah, you can grant through, once you go in and grant them a license under each user, you have the ability to turn on and off access to services. Project for the web is one of those services. So you should be able to grant it to some users and not others.
Perfect. Okay, I'll pass it on.
Yeah, I'm going to skip back actually because we skipped Jose. Is there a user community for planner and project? Has anybody out there already seen a user community for that? Dave, you said you thought there was, but does anybody know for sure if there's a user community or you're a member of it?
Yeah, there's a couple things you can do. So if you go to mpug.org, Microsoft Project User Group.org, that is a global user community for project. That is the first place. The second place is the Project and Planner User Group, which is available on LinkedIn. And this group we have 25,000 members of. Between those two resources, you should be able to find anything you need.
So is that user group run by you folks?
Well, the mpug.org is a global not-for-profit, so we don't run that at all. The user group here, actually, we own the group, but it's a public domain group. We don't do any advertising, marketing, or any of that stuff. So we just happen to be the ones who own it. So we just thought it was a good idea 15 years ago. So
I now have 2 places that we can direct people to. That's awesome. That in and of itself saves me a whole bunch of headaches. What's the next question we had, Heather?
There's so many. Does Project have an API to integrate other apps?
It does. So Project Online has a pretty robust API that's based on REST service calls. Project for the web being new, they're still working on the API. I mean, it literally launched 18 months ago and 6 months ago in your tenants. The API is there for everything in the Dataverse right now, but the schedule information, that API is going to be available in the next 6 months. So that's an in-progress thing.
Awesome. We had another question from Joe Besco. Can Project for the web be imported into Project Online?
Right now, no. You can take Project for the web data and move it out into Excel, and then you could take it from Excel and move it into Project. So there's a 2-step process, unfortunately, to do that.
Leapfrog. Do the resources need to have a Project Web license or just the project manager?
So right now, there is no team member interface. What you saw today is the interface for the tool. So anybody going into that would need to have that Plan 3 license to do it. They're working on a team member view for that, and I believe the license is going to be tied to an A3 or an A5. So it's going to be something where team members will be able to get in at no cost potentially in the future. So We think.
Jose, do you want to take that
Yeah.
one step? Or?
Yeah, this one's great. So Jose plus gift has the question, GIF, not gift, has the question around color coordination of buckets. I know for folks that think in colors and images, like myself, I know Heather thinks this way too. They really want that color coordination. My calendar looks like a demented light bright right now. So can you color coordinate the buckets inside of Planner?
Inside of Planner or inside of Project?
Well, he said Planner.
I think it's Project he's talking about. There was that buckets list where.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So user voice, that would be a great place to put that in as a request. Right now, a bucket is a bucket, but if you wanted to color code it, if you put that request in user voice, the product team takes these and ranks them, and actually they build to the most requests they get. So I would say go to user voice for Project.
Right now, before it's ripped off, because user voice is being retired. Right. So it's going bye-bye. So hurry up and get it in now.
Now.
Jose, put it in now. Put it in today. So.
All right. Do we want one more question? Sure. We got one more in here. Well, we got just two more, but here I'll go with how do we do incremental load from Project Online into our local tables? There are about 40 tables, and we need to do it for all the tables.
What kind of tables are they? So
I do not know. Do you guys want to come off of mute? Do you want to come off of mute? I'm gonna say the name wrong.
It's my theory.
Okay, it is all about the project, assignment, time phase, data set, and all those things.
Mm-hmm. So you want to move it out of Project Online? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What happened is we have a OData source.
Mm-hmm.
We are bringing the data using the OData source, and then we are loading it into our SQL Server tables. And there are a couple of tables that have about millions of records.
Mm-hmm.
So when we do it, I have a process to do for assignment, time phase, data set, but I just wanted to check with you if we need to do it for all the tables.
How you pull that OData is really up to you. The time phase data sets are very large because it's literally a snapshot of every hour, every day, every resource. So we have clients that have tens of millions of those records. One thing we've done is we've actually built a data warehouse and a sync engine that allows you to go in and specify what data you want to pull, and it becomes a back end process. So it's not time consuming. So what you're doing moving into SQL it's a recommended approach by Microsoft. You just want to try to make those feeds as efficient as possible and just bring smaller sets if you can, and not pull the big ones if you don't need to. So that's all in your ETL layer. So.
All right, last question. We've got just one last question is, can you auto move things to different buckets with Power Automate in Planner Project?
I haven't seen that scenario yet. Doesn't mean you can't do it because it's all in the database. I'm sure you could, but you'd have to have some kind of rules around it. So I
wonder if Flow would accomplish that. Maybe. Okay.
Something would happen and it would move a project project to a different bucket. I'm sure as long as you have the business rules, you could automate it. Just the API for the tasks is not available yet. So it's not something we can do yet. But I would say in the next 6 months, that will be something that's supported.
Awesome.
That takes us through our list of questions, but I'm sure folks will have more and be hitting you up with your contact information.
Yep.
So if you do have questions, feel free to put them in the channel, and maybe Rob, if we get a few more, I can bounce them over to you in on email or whatever. Feel free to do that. Rob, always love what you folks do at Projility. And again, if you want to reach out to Rob or his BDM, that information is also in the channel. Really appreciate that. I am going to publish this, Rob, and it's going to go out to a bunch of other Microsoft employees because it kind of dumbed down, at least for me, enough things. So really appreciate your time. I'm going to stop the recording, and really appreciate your time today. Let me turn this off real quick. Stop recording.